Alright, welcome to Frigid, Michigan. You like my pop filter? I guess we're gonna see if it works. I made it myself. Can you tell what it is? Do you remember Pokemon Go? I do. I lived through it, and even I forgot how strong of a hold this game had on just the general population. When a certain book, game, movie, whatever, transcends its original piece of media and leaks out into the real world, it's amazing to watch. And you get to see a certain aspect of society that rarely comes out. And I think Pokemon Go is a perfect example of this. Let me give you a little refresher on the insanity that came from this app. For those of you who need a reminder, Pokemon Go has a feature called raids. Through raids, groups of people in the physical world can converge on a single location and work together to capture an either exceedingly rare or exceedingly powerful Pokemon. You have any idea what this next section is going to be about? Stampedes are defined as a sudden, headlong rush or flight of a crowd of people. And a mob can be described as a large and often disorderly crowd. 2016, Taipei's northern Beitou district experienced a surge of foot traffic as hordes of people ran to go catch the newly released Snorlax that had appeared nearby. And that's not even the worst of it. Many similar events happened across the globe in the months following Pokemon Go's release in 2016. Central Park in New York, I think, got the worst of it. Based off of what I've seen, there were at least 3 raids that occurred in Central Park that were equal, if not larger, than the raid in Taipei. The pinnacle of these was the July 16th Vaporeon raid, which occurred in Central Park at 11 p.m. at night. Footage of the event shows people rushing into Central Park from its adjacent streets, going so far as to leave their cars on the street with the ignition on so that they could run and go and participate in the Vaporeon raid. Just to reiterate, this was a global phenomenon. Flash mobs similar in size to those in Taipei and New York occurred across the globe in cities like Tokyo, Toronto, Washington, Dusseldorf, Germany, Santa Monica, Long Beach, and these are just the ones I found on the internet after like 10 minutes of searching, right? There's a video of a raid in, I think, Long Beach. If you had shown me this footage a month ago and told me that it was footage of people running from an active, I would have believed you. I mean, the amount of dedication and perseverance these people in 2016 had was incredible. But with as hectic as the footage is from some of these raids, I think it's impressive how well behaved all of the participants were during these events. I mean, of all of the injuries and deaths that have come from playing Pokemon Go, very few, if any, have come from these community events. Not to say people don't get mad or violent over this game, which they certainly do. One poster I found on Reddit stated that during one of his local raids, a participant got so angry at his phone's GPS issues that he threw a fit and tossed his phone into a nearby river. Another poster states that during the height of Pokemon Go's popularity, one of his neighbors believed that he had total control over one of his local gyms, going so far as to leave his house and try and hunt down people that were trying to take it over. Multiple, I mean at least 25 people have died playing this game. You know, the mobile game where you run around catching digital rodents? Yeah, 25 people have died. In fact, I found a dedicated website for tracking Pokemon Go deaths that's been updated as recently as 2025. I'll put a link right here somewhere for you guys. That's how much of an issue this game is. So let me share with you a couple of the highlights. First off, we gotta talk about the all-time Pokemon Go GOAT. In 2016, 22-year-old Michael Baker left his house at 1 a.m. on a Monday in Forest Grove, Oregon, to go catch some Pokemon and pick up some beer. While walking down the sidewalk to the corner store, he encountered someone who he assumed was another player. After waving and reaching out to the man, asking if he played Pokemon Go, the stranger expressed some confusion. After approaching Michael, the stranger proceeded to stab him in the shoulder and run away. The suspect was never found.
I saw him go by and I was like, "You playing Pokemon Go?" or whatever, you know, and he's like, "What?" I was like, "Pokemon Go," and then like, I guess he wanted the battle or something because he just came at me with a knife, so I didn't expect it to happen, and it was pretty brief and fast.
What's more is that Michael didn't go to the ER. Michael continued on down to his local corner store where he picked up his beer and chips and went home, only receiving the necessary stitches he needed for a stab wound the day after. Godspeed, Michael. I truly believe that if Ash Ketchum was faced with a similar situation, he would have done the exact same thing. It's a cold one today, people. There have been tons of accidents in which people who were so distracted by Pokemon Go either walked out onto a street and got hit by a car, or got distracted while playing Pokemon Go and driving and hit someone. Too many to put in this one video, actually, but one notable incident is when a school teacher hit 2 people with his car while playing Pokemon Go. That is a terrible precedent to set as a school teacher. Let's get real. In Missouri, a father-son duo got arrested after they beat up a man and threw him into a lake over a dispute regarding a local Pokemon gym. In the UK, a supermarket worker got beat to death in a parking lot in what was assumed to be a Pokemon Go related dispute. That is actually incredibly grim. I'm sorry. Of course, these are all trainer-on-trainer crimes. There have been plenty of incidents regarding just individual people playing Pokemon Go. Most notably in 2016, a man from Singapore fell victim to a heart attack and died after he caught a Lapras. In 2016, shortly after the game's release, 2 men in California scaled a fence that was meant to protect pedestrians from a local cliff in order to catch Pokemon. Guys, guess where this goes? You're not gonna believe it. After losing traction, the 2 men fell over 50 feet to a beach below, where they somehow survived. In an effort to make this video a little more lighthearted, I'm gonna go switch over and talk about some of the less gruesome incidents that have occurred while people have been playing Pokemon Go. In 2019, a Canadian police trooper pulled over onto the side of the highway after he spotted what he assumed to be a motorist in distress. After approaching the seemingly disabled vehicle, the trooper peered inside only to find a perfectly fine driver who was playing Pokemon Go on 8 phones simultaneously, using some sort of array that he carved out of a piece of foam. After the confrontation, the trooper urged the man to put the phones away and continue on his daily commute, which he did. Which I didn't get my first phone until 2017. I spent half of 2016 watching my friends run around, play Pokemon Go for fun. Little middle school me, his head would have exploded if he saw this guy's setup. That's nothing though compared to 70-year-old Chen San Yuan. Go ahead and feel free to harass me in the comments over my pronunciation on that. Who became obsessed with the game after being introduced to it by his grandson. Not having used a phone prior to being introduced to the game, his grandson went ahead and bought him one, through which he began playing Pokemon Go. Chen's obsession though with the game quickly escalated as he continued to buy more phones for himself through which he could play. His setup of mobile phones, which he would mount to his car, to his bike, to whatever, as he roamed around the city, quickly grew to 21 phones and then later to a maximum of 64 phones. I mean, the fact that this guy had never used a mobile phone prior to being introduced to Pokemon Go and then proceeded to engineer a 64 phone array which he could mount to his bike, that's incredibly impressive, actually. And I think that really goes to show the indomitability of the human spirit. I don't really know exactly what I'm trying to accomplish with this video outside of rehashing some nostalgia I might have for this game, or, you know, highlighting some of the crazier stuff that I've seen to people who might not know about it. I'm not sure we're ever going to see like an AR game phenomenon like that ever again. I think Niantic and the Pokemon Company kind of squeezed out whatever was left from that genre, but if that ever happens, you know, this guy's hoping for it. Yeah, I think that's about it for this video, guys. Take it easy.